All right, welcome back in again this Tuesday edition, and our hearts are very, very heavy for the loss of Rod Bramblett, his wife Paula. Our thoughts and prayers about to Josh and Shelby and the family and all the people that have been impacted by it. The Auburn family, and also our Alabama family lost Bart Starr this weekend, and Cherry Bart Starr Jr. and the family, the friends. I know they're having a private funeral here in Birmingham. They're going to have a public celebration in Green Bay, and man, just two wonderful, wonderful human beings, men, fathers, husbands, and just quality individuals, and will dearly, dearly be missed. But we had a chance with Scott Moore's been with us, iTalkSEC, Antonio Langham with us, former Alabama defensive back, NFL as well, with many teams, and also I'm Jay Barker, and it's the Jay Barker Show. We got Rick Karle in studio with us, and Rick, you had a chance to interview, and been around Rod from a broadcasting standpoint. Have had a chance to interview him, but also did some really, really great specials on Bart Starr over the last few years, and sitting down with him and his wife Cherry, and having a chance to really get to know him, and maybe for us to see a side of him that maybe a lot of people haven't had a chance to see. And so I really appreciate you coming in and spending time with us on this Tuesday edition, and sharing some of your stories with us.
Well, thanks, Jay. I was listening to you folks coming in the car, and you nailed it. I mean, Bart Starr, for me, you think of Bart Starr and you think of MVP, Super Bowl I, Super Bowl II, Vince Lombardi, the frozen tundra, and perhaps maybe Alabama in the old days. But when I think of Bart Starr, I think about Bart Starr, the man. Now, he's always been a great man of character, et cetera. But once he got out, remember, he coached the Packers.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about it, yeah.
So remember after that, now he comes back to Birmingham and makes a life from car dealerships to civic organizations, the whole bit. And again, his family went through tragedy, too, with the death of their son from a drug overdose. So, but he has always been just the guy that makes you feel the most important person in the room.
Absolutely.
You go to a function and you're looking at him, you're like, wow, that's Bart Starr over there. But then you go up to him and he's like, hey, Rick, how you doing? Like you said, how's your folks, how's your parents, and how's your family? I've always said that, I think I said this on Facebook or Twitter in the last couple of days. I said, three of the most impressive men perhaps in my life, it's just a personal observation, are my dad, Gene Stallings, and Bart Starr.
Yeah.
That's a threesome in my, as far as I'm concerned. High character, just good guys, humble. They just knew about life and they shared stories with you. So I think y'all are point on, and you can't say enough about Sherry either. Getting to know her down through the years, she's such a spunky lady. And look, she's had some health issues too. She's fought breast cancer. She's fought some thyroid issues. She is not 100% healthy now either. Now she's probably 84 now. They just celebrated 2 weeks ago their 65th wedding anniversary. But she's the kind of lady, you go over to the house. They live in North Shelby County, beautiful home, and they have a tennis court in their backyard. And you're going, hey Sherry, how you doing? Well, I just had went to the doctor and I saw my oncologist, and I said, well, has it been a tough morning? She goes, well, yeah, but I did get to play about 2 hours of tennis. She's just like, she's got a motor like Bart,
Right.
And through all her health issues and his health issues, they've both just been resilient and brave and strong with the way they have fought those health issues. Two very, very impressive.
How did they meet?
I believe they met years ago at Alabama, and if I'm not incorrect, I think they eloped. I think they snuck up out there.
A lot of people did that back then.
Right.
Mississippi.
Right. Especially if you're playing football, say at Alabama. Those are the days where you're not, if you're in a college football team, the coach didn't want you, so.
Yeah.
But they have been, I think they were high school sweethearts. I'm not sure if they went to the same high school in Montgomery. Didn't he go to Jeff Davis or one of those, Sidney Lanier, one of those two? But I think she may have gone to a different school, but they're both from Montgomery. They've been married 65 years. Wow. Beautiful relationship. And Bart has always put us to shame, us guys, us normal humans, for years. I don't know if he still did this in his later years, but he would write a love letter, a love note, or a poem to Sherry and tuck it under her pillow before she went to bed every night. So before she turned off the light, she pulled out that scrap of paper and just read a message from her husband about how much now, who does that? besides Jay Barker.
No. Sarah does that for me every night. She writes me a new song.
Yeah. I'm so
Good
lucky.
comeback there. That was a good one.
Yeah. I heard Sarah plug your show on the radio driving into the studio.
Did you?
How
Yeah.
did Barker get somebody that famous?
But you got a little in way there.
Yeah, but no, but that's the kind of guy he was, and he did that for years. And there's a little poem on the counter of their kitchen that they kind of read together every morning when they walk past, or when they did walk past. And I know this is a shameless plug for my Facebook page, but if you go there, I only say that because if you go there, I think I've got my thoughts about Sherry and Bart pinned to the top. But at the bottom of that post is a link of one of those TV interviews that you talked about. And my latest one was probably, I think I visited them in January 2017, which is the 50th anniversary of Super Bowl I. And he wasn't speaking really well. He had continued issues, despite the fact that he'd go to rehab almost every other day. He's just a warrior. But that TV interview really was interesting because they talked about their love for one another and how much they loved each other. And it was really cool. So if you just go to Rick Karle, Karle, and then just go down and hit that link, it'll pop right up. It's on YouTube. So if you love Bart Starr, it might be something to watch. I think you'd enjoy it.
One of the things that I've always admired about you is that I feel like you pour your heart and soul into all the things that you do, and I think you try to connect to people, and I think that's what makes these type of interviews special. And many times where I've seen things that you've done, I'm like, why didn't I think of that? How do you come up with a lot of these different specials and things that you do? Because they're timely, but they're also, you try to spend the amount of time that needs to be spent. You try to get down and talk about certain things that maybe other people, not that they don't want to talk about it, but it's not just sports, it's about life. Talk about your process and kind of how you come up with those ideas.
Well, I always think of outside the box, right? And I've always thought that, say television, like radio, it's competitive. So you want to one-up the next guy, right? You want to beat the guy. So it's not so much about winning stories or winning the headline, which is very important, but it's also about winning the inside story of the story. I'll give you an example. You see newscasters all the time saying, tragically we had another shooting in Birmingham. It was the 34th of the year or whatever, and that's it. And then they move on. Well, time for weather. Well, where's the story on that? Where's the inside story of a family grieving, or a neighborhood nervous that somebody might be on the loose, or a child who loses his mother? I mean, there's a human story in every story out there. I mean, you look at Gene Stallings has a story, obviously, with John Mark and his, Bart Starr had a story with his health issue, but Jay Barker has a story. Well, you've got a story. Everybody has a story, and I think that people connect to that, and that's what I try to do. Not really. I guess I'm the, Tom Rinaldi does a great job.
He does.
Of ESPN.
He does. He does.
And he looks for things like, okay, look, there's more than this kid. You read about, this kid won a Special Olympics event, and he won the 40-yard dash. You go, isn't that cute? Well, let's go talk to that special. Ben Abercrombie of Hoover.
Now, you've done a great job.
But let's, he speaks just fine. He's having to, but he'll talk to you about dreaming of running, and I mean, there's and a lot of it is heavy stuff, but you can be, you can pick your poison there. You can be humorous if you want to. So again, the Stars have been very well. It depends on your interview too, but the Stars have been very good with that respect.
Rick, what's the story you've done in your career? And it began back in 1989 in Birmingham with Sideline.
The Ron Burgundy look.
That's right.
Stay classy, Birmingham. Yeah.
Out of all the stories you did, and this is a tough question, I know, but which story impacted you the most inside, and it just really, really struck you, and you were like, I got to go convey this to my audience, to everybody out there? What was it for you?
Well, there's a couple of them. You talk about, there's so many.
I think I know which one. I think I know one of them. But
one of them is Gene Stallings when he lost John Mark, and he invited me out to Dallas just about 2 months after he left, and walked out to the gravesite, and that was very impactful. And there's a lot of it. Carson Tinker's story, losing his girlfriend. He and Ashley Harrison's parents gave me the first interview. They came back to pick up her degree that summer. Wow. That was very heavy and that was very powerful. But a lot of these stories that I remember are the ones about so-called non-famous people. There's a man named Benny Bunn, B-U-N-N, in Hueytown, Alabama. His daughter, young daughter, years ago died, I believe, in an auto accident. And you're testing me because it's about 20 years ago. So I read about it. And she was a big softball star for the softball team. Well, Benny Bunn wanted to do something for his daughter, so he almost single-handedly spent like a year building a softball field at Hueytown High School in memory of Natalie. And he didn't know much about building, like me trying to go out and build it. What's a backstop and how do you pour the cement and how do you rake the infield? And we did a beautiful story on him. That was one. Another couple from the Hueytown area is Jack and Darlene Franklin. Now, they're normal folks like us. They're working, and they had a child who was a baseball player who died in an auto accident on Route 16 out there toward Brookwood and that windy road out there toward in West Jefferson County. And son of a gun, if about a year later their daughter wasn't killed almost a mile away.
I remember that.
Yeah, and what they told me about losing two. Now look at everything. I'm not out to.
It's virtually the same spot,
right?
It was virtually the same spot.
Virtually the same spot. And out of that story, hopefully, came the Highway Department or the DOT really trying to make some changes to that. Perhaps have saved lives in the future. So, a lot of those stories, and again, they're all not Tom Rinaldi, sappy, because we've done some funny things, obviously, down through the years, but. Those stories, I think, about maybe the normal people who have either suffered tragedy or done something great for the community really have stuck with me down through the years.
We'll continue with Rick Karle and again Antonio Langham, Scott Moore from iTalkSEC. I'm Jay Barker. You're listening to Jay Barker's show and live from our AVX studio, audio video excellence here in downtown Birmingham. And we come back, I want to get your take on Rod Bramblett and his wife and the family and everything that's going on there as well. So Jay Barker Show, we'll be back.
You're listening to The Jay Barker Show, live from the AVX studios in downtown Birmingham.